Good afternoon and welcome back to Futureworx 2022, live with me, your host Mark Anthony. I've been joined by Jennifer Thompson from MachineMax. We'll get to that in just a second, but just to let you know, we're on the home straight now. This is a 2 o'clock show. We've got another one at 3 o'clock. When hopefully we'll be joined by Dan Leaney of Xwatch, and then we'll be doing the close down at 4 o'clock with myself and Peter Haddock. But first and foremost, let's get over to Jennifer. Jennifer, tell me about MachineMax. What is MachineMax?
Thanks, Mark. We're an equipment management platform. So what that means is we will consolidate all machine data coming from machines for existing telematics, third party. Also, we'll provide hardware for non-connected machines so that you have all your machine data in one place. And we'll bring in contextual data to understand why machines are operating in a certain way on site.
Now, just before we came on air, you and I were talking about fuel specifically. Obviously, there is a big focus on electric machines here. We've got hydrogen machines coming down the pipe as well, but we're not there yet. But MachineMax has a solution to help reduce fuel consumption right here, right now.
Yeah, so to give an example, in February this year, we just did an analysis in our database of construction equipment, really the vanilla yellow kit, over 1,700 pieces of equipment. There was 1.3 million litres of fuel burnt, but the machines idled 45% of the time in UK on construction sites in February. And that's mind-blowing. Like, that is something that you could significantly decrease without even having to change to electric machines and hydrogen, which is still a while away. And so there's a lot of things that we can do now to solve and improve that situation, particularly with red diesel rebates falling away tomorrow.
Now, with that in mind, what can your system do? Is it a case of advising the owners and the operators of those machines and then putting training in place, or could we go even further than that and have auto idle or even auto shutdown on machines powered by telematics?
So for one, it's putting all the data in a single place, which is really hard to do, particularly with the fragmented nature of UK, where a lot of the equipment's not owned by the construction or the contractors, it's rented. And so it's really hard to get that full picture of your machines on one site. And that's what we do. We bring that in, we tell you how much idling is happening, when it's happening in real time, and where it's happening. So we're giving you the tools to then go and say, okay, I can see this machine is idling for 10 minutes. Let me go and advise them, as you know, you need to go turn it off. And it's not always down to operators. Often it's down to site design that could be bad, and more often than not, that's what we see the cause is. But so we're also in journey, relatively new company. The next step for us is really implementing a good change management solution where it is, to your point, alerting someone in real time without someone having to look in the platform and just say, turn off your machine right now. Like you're not doing good things. That's
one of the things that we've covered quite a bit on this show in the past is this idea of the gamification of systems. This sounds like an ideal opportunity for that, to have teams of operators, how low can you get your fuel consumption, follow it with the telematics and literally reduce the idling hours to virtually zero, I guess.
Yeah. Gamification is something that comes up a lot, and definitely you can go that route and it would help. I think to earlier points, it's not always due to the operator, and we don't see that you will ever be able to get down to zero idling. There's also some realities on site where people idle because maybe it's 0 degrees and they want to stay warm in their machine, and then it's our responsibility as companies to say, what else can we do? Can we put an electric heater in that machine so that the operator doesn't need to keep the machine on? So gamification definitely helps, and that will get it down in terms of driver behaviors, but then there's still some work to do thereafter or in parallel to improve that.
Coming away from that need to keep warm, and frankly, I'm sat in a cabin right now with the heating on, so I can relate to that entirely. But one of the things that did your analysis of those machines look at individual types of machines? Because from my experience, things like site dumpers and cabins and generators, they're the ones that seem to be the worst culprits for idling when they don't need to be.
Yeah, I can't whittle off the stats off the top of my head, but yes, there definitely is an impact, not only on machine type, but also application. So we also work in aggregates and mining, and there it's significantly less idling, but that's because there's been historically so much focus on it. And so it's really considered an extremely bad habit in those industries. So it does vary machine type and application. And also even within construction, bulk earthworks, depending on what exactly it is that you're doing, we do see various rates.
Now, we've obviously talked about the fact that if you could reduce idling time and shut the machine off, that would be a cost saving. But we're also talking about a very significant environmental saving here as well, aren't we?
Yeah, CO2. And that brings to another point in that in the industry there is data standards and that facilitates the sharing of this data so that you can get it into a centralized dashboard. But the data standards aren't well geared for the advent of net zero because, everyone's calculating it off diesel. But now one of the great things that's happening in the industry is people are looking at alternate fuels. And so as an industry, we also need to work together to define data standards so that not just MachineMax, but anyone who wants to report on the implication of CO2 and fuels calculated correctly. We need to know what the engine tier is. We need to know what fuel type the machine is using so that we can improve those calculations. But the baseline is the fundamental. And from there, we can look at how to improve.
That's been absolutely fascinating. Tell people where they can find out more about MachineMax.
www.machinemax.com. We are based out of London and happy to chat.
Based out of London, God's own country. That's been absolutely fascinating. I'm going to play a video and then I'm going to let you get back to tell people all about your system. And I'm going to throw over now to Peter Haddock, and I think I may have caught him at an inopportune moment.
Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and I'm sat in the most important seat here at Futureworx on the welfare unit with Boss Cabins, and I'm joined by Sarah. Sarah, joking aside, this cabin is a proper welfare unit, isn't it, that you have created here and have brought to Futureworx because it's quite sustainable as well, isn't it?
It is.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we've got a 24-foot canteen office here. It's got full canteen facilities, a separate office, and then we've got twin toilets in the rear, so male and female, with a small drying closet as well. So we're covering all the bases on the everything that's required on site, really.
Great to hear, isn't it? And let's go round and have a look at it, shall we? So, fundamentally, folks, what we've got here is some big statements here from the team at Boss. Carbon neutral, 100% renewable energy, solar powered, near zero emissions, folks, rain harvesting, 71.2% recycling. There's a big statements there, Sarah.
Yeah.
Tell me about that and tell me why it's so important.
Yes, so the carbon neutral is that our cabin is carbon neutral in operation. So whereas we've got solar panels completely covering the roof on this cabin, we also have a small backup generator. So we estimate that between 6 to 9 months of the year, this cabin will run entirely on solar. The rest of the time, if you have a grey day and it cannot generate enough power, the small 2.3 kVA generator will run as a backup to charge the battery to then allow us to use the cabin. So what we have done is we fit a DPF filter to the engine to allow, obviously, the emissions.
Of those emissions,
exactly right. And we also fit, obviously, it's fitted with the DPF, and then we have HVO biofuel that's running through that engine as well. So completely carbon neutral in operation.
So, folks, what we want to do is have a look in it. So, look, here we go into the office, folks. There we go. It looks like a really great place to be. And of course, then we go through to that office. We've got rainwater harvesting. So fundamentally, when we go towards the canteen, which we're going to now, we're going to see where that water is actually going to be used. Deep green, folks, deep green. So we're here now at the canteen area, and this is where the rainwater harvesting comes in, isn't it? With both the toilet element and the harvesting there for general use.
Yes, so it's not just rainwater harvesting, it's also recycling as well. So what we're doing is we're harvesting the rain from the roof. That is then going through a system of filters. It's then heated up and it's used for hand washing in the canteen and in both the toilets. And with a normal cabin, what would happen is that water would go straight to the waste tank. Right. What we're doing is we're sending it to a grey water recycling tank that then allows us to use it to flush the toilet. So it halves the amount of waste you have going to your waste tank, therefore reducing the amount of service intervals that you need on the cabin.
Service intervals are really important, folks, because these cabins can be in all sorts of different places, and we're saving emissions when we're actually not sending people to site as well.
Absolutely.
Have a look inside the canteen, folks. I think it's really impressive inside here. Great place for you to be with your colleagues and your friends on site. And I think, you know, that really does say to me why it's important we look after the welfare of everyone, so that everybody can have a good day on site and work and be nice and warm, cosy, and obviously have both a male and a female toilet, which is why we need to attract more women into the industry as well, so give them the facilities that they deserve. Been fantastic to talk to you today.
Excellent.
Thanks very much.
Thank
the rain
you.
is coming down, so we're going to be harvesting some of it here at the Boss Cabin. So there'll be lots of hand washing available here at Futureworx later on. Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter.
That was Peter Haddock, like a boss. You may recall a few months ago we brought you very early details of a new. I just realised I'm not in disguise any longer. There we go, that's better. People will recognise me now. We brought you details of the Merlo Eworker telescopic handler, electric telescopic handler. Well, that Eworker telescopic handler is here, and Peter Haddock has been to see it.
Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here with the Merlo Group. Owen Buttle has joined me, product expert for the brand new Eworker range. This is a product and a range that has actually been built from the ground up. Tell me about the ground up.
Yep, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a very common question that we get asked. But essentially, as Merlo Group, we decided that with the technology moving towards battery, that actually it warranted having a bespoke machine built from the ground up that was suitable for electric technology. There's a number of benefits by doing so. But essentially by building a bespoke machine, we've been able to design it around the battery pack to ensure that we can get the biggest capacity possible, which gives us the most running time.
And it's all about the working hours. Tell me, how many hours are you actually getting out of this?
Yeah, absolutely, that's the key question. So the working hours on this machine gives you a true 8-hour cycle.
Right.
Okay, so that will give you a full day's work, and then the charging cycle is 9 hours.
This is where the magic battery happens, and this little tube here is where the distilled water goes in to top it up as part of the servicing, folks. And of course, the battery connection. However, Merlo have gone one step further, haven't you, Owen?
Yep.
There's a little cupboard here that could be used for storage, or could be used for what, Owen?
Yeah, so as an option on these machines, you can have an onboard charger. So essentially that would fit within this compartment here. And then essentially your three-phase electrics would plug straight into that onboard charger. So again, it's just about making it easy to use, easy for the operator, particularly if this machine's going into a variety of different applications, possibly on site, making it as easy as possible to be able to charge the machine.
Where's the counterweight? We've talked about that before, Owen, haven't you?
Yeah.
Big counterweights on machines sometimes, not with the battery and the way it's designed.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, we've got a machine here that has got to move and it's got to twist and turn.
Yeah, so again with this machine, to give it that removability of a compact telehandler, we've gone down the road of actually having it as a rear wheel steer machine.
Right.
So again, this is offered in a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive version. The two-wheel drive version will actually turn up to 90 degrees on the rear axle.
Wow.
So it will mean that the machine can actually turn on the spot.
Spinning around with the electric is a total different change in perspective about how the industry's working, and the Eworker range with Merlo Group is changing those perceptions. Great to see another electric machine being brought to the market, and this one is part of a range. Thanks very much, Owen.
No problem at all.
Great to see
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
So imagine you have an automated compaction roller, and imagine your company is called Bomag. What would you call that machine? Maybe, just maybe, you'd call it the Robomag.
Hi folks, I'm back again. Yes, I am, and we're joined here with a great friend of mine, Giles White from Bomag. And Bomag has been doing something very, very clever, folks. This is Robomag. And Giles, this is a unit that doesn't need an operator. It would be fully autonomous or remote controlled. Tell me about the capabilities of this machine, and it's been around and been tested for some time now.
Yeah, it was actually built and launched in 2019 and shown at Bauma.
Yeah.
The machine can be remote controlled for tight area work, but also it can be used autonomously, programmed remotely to cover a certain area, and then it knows the compaction levels, and it will roll backwards and forwards until it reaches the desired compaction level.
So how does it actually work out compaction levels? Because that's quite technical. You know, normally you'd have an operator there that, you know, the vibrations of the machine, they'll be able to feel it as well. What happens with the Robo version?
So the machine itself has got sensors built into the drum.
Yep.
So the drum actually continuously covers the whole surface area and gets feedback from the ground and can actually pick up the stiffness levels.
Right.
The machine can then automatically adjust the force that's required to put into the ground. So if it gets to a soft spot, it will increase the effort. If it gets to a hard spot, it will decrease the effort.
So what's really exciting about this, folks, is you can actually do work like this overnight when other people have maybe done the grading, and that can be achieved overnight. Therefore, people plant interface is completely eradicated. And also fundamentally, you can do that when people have, like you say, those tighter spaces and those confined spaces, or maybe it's a dangerous spot.
Exactly, yeah. So instead of using the standard machine, it may be in an area that's on a steep incline or near the edges of something. You can actually put a remote control roller in there, and that can do the work, hopefully safely, but if there is any problem, at least there's no operator involved.
And this is quite a big machine. We normally look at remote control machines being quite small, folks, the ones that I've seen. This is a big beast, this Giles. What can it actually achieve in a day, and how is it powered, you know?
So it's an 8-ton unit, mainly used for asphalt, some stonework. So this would normally go behind probably either a big 18-ton or a 10-ton paver, and do the asphalt compaction behind it. And one of these units, perhaps with a small unit working with it, will keep up with the paver all day, all night.
Fantastic. And so we're seeing this technology shown here at Futureworx today, and the main events tomorrow, folks. You can still register futureworx.uk. But basically, what we're seeing as well is the use of technology and data that's not just being fed from this machine. Inside, you've got a stand where you're showing some more special stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, we've got on the stand is the launch of our electric small battery-powered tamper for trench reinstatement.
Right.
So again, that's reducing the diesel and petrol emissions. We've also got a remote control roller, which is much smaller. It's only 2.5 metres wide. That's much smaller, much lighter, but can be used in real small spaces. It's not autonomous, but it is remote control, and it has AI cameras on it that can pick up people and send out warnings that knows there's a person there. And we're also showing our connected plant, which is the fitted to Robomag as well, which is called Bomag, and that then takes all the data for the compaction, all the passes, maps it all, and shares it all instantly on the cloud.
So that's real-time data coming from, and that's what I like to talk about a lot, folks. Real-time data is very important, because if something goes wrong in real time and you know about it and you can get alerted, or you don't, or you know that actually you've hit some soft ground and need more material in, well, you can order that and you can keep that site working really, really effectively. And all of this data is what we need to actually deliver for main clients like National Highways and HS2 that are actually going to be speaking and exhibiting here over the next 2 days. For me, I really understand a lot about how these things work, but what I don't understand is how we can connect it all together. And so it's great to hear that you've got that software that's feeding in, and so that we can get everybody to see what's going on site in real time, so that we can make all those changes, plan for the future, be more productive and effective, and of course, when we really want to, be robotic with Robomag. Thanks very much, Giles.
No problem at all, Peter. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Peter, and thanks, Giles, as well. That's the Robomag, which is located about 20 yards that way. If you are at Futureworx, please go and check that out. Right, we've got 2 more shows to bring you. I'm going to be back here again at, let me think, 3 o'clock, and I'm going to be back here again at 4 o'clock as well for our wrap-up show. So before I go, let me play you out with this.